Golden Bee Global, the bee hive of learning.
Hello everyone, this is Roopsha Das. I am the school counselor of Vibgyor in association with Golden Bee Global, Banerghatta. I am actually a licensed psychologist and also school counselor, and I am also a certified parenting coach. Today is International Suicide Prevention Day. So there are few things that I really wanted to share with all of you. Many times when people hear that somebody has committed suicide, for example, some celebrity has died out of suicide, we often come up with this question that what really led them to die? Why did they kill themselves? And we, whenever it's a known person, we often come up with this question that I wish this person could have reached out to me. I wish this person could have spoken to me. Maybe I could have helped them. Maybe I could have reached out. But the point is, many of us don't even know what to tell when they actually come and tell you that they are thinking of ending their lives. So here are a few points that I would like to share on this part. Number one, when someone comes to tell you that they are thinking of ending their lives, before anything else, try to listen to them without judgment, with empathy. When a person has come to tell you about something very sensitive, they have already come up with a lot of hope, a lot of courage, and maybe you are the person they are telling first. So whatever and however you respond to them sets a standard for how they would in future approach other professionals or other people they know. So first of all, we need to be non-judgmental and actively listen to what they say. Number two is, try to build a trust where somebody is coming and telling you that they are thinking of ending their life. We often end up asking the person, why you want to do this? Your life is perfect. You are so good. I have also been through the same thing, but I didn't do it. When we say that, when we do that, rather than motivating the other person, it actually pressurizes them even more, and they end up thinking, oh my god, I'm such a worthless person, this other person is so smart. So whenever somebody is coming and telling you their problems, they're telling that they are thinking of ending their life, we are not there to show them our success or how good we are. It would actually pressurize them and maybe put them into further stress. So here, rather than telling that, we need to build trust with them and empathetically listen to them. Building trust is very, very important, which leads us to the third point, that is keeping the confidentiality intact. That means whenever somebody is coming and telling you, we should keep that information with ourselves. See, when a person has come and told you, they have already reached out. That means somewhere in their mind they are also thinking of living. That's why they have told. So you are basically going to set a standard how they would approach other people in future. So we need to keep that information secret and with us so that we can build that trust with them. And number four is another mistake that we do. Nowadays mental health is like a kind of a very well-known topic, and especially after COVID, almost everyone is aware of mental health and we are talking more about it, right? But what happens often when we see someone struggling, or when a person comes and tells us that they are even thinking of killing themselves, we often end up telling them, you need help. The moment you say you need help, it actually is a judgmental comment where you are basically drawing a conclusion that, hey, you need help, go for a psychologist, go for a psychiatrist. But no, we don't need to do that. Rather, try to phrase it in this way. Hey, I understand what you are going through. What are your thoughts of consulting a professional? Or have you thought of consulting someone for this? Rather than saying, I think you need help, say, do you think you need help? So it's our voice and our choice of words that really matters, how we are communicating to others. And when we are dealing with such sensitive issues, it really becomes very important how we are talking to that person and addressing them. Maybe some words from us can also encourage them. So in this regard, I would only want to say one last thing, that there are days when we don't feel like eating. We feel pukish or we have a stomach ache. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to eat at all. Similarly, some days are so gloomy, so where we feel worthless, where we feel our life doesn't make any meaning. Please remember that those days are also going to pass. Hold yourself and let the storm pass. Breathe in and breathe out, because we all are here and we are together.
Is it possible to predict suicide?
See, suicide is generally people who commit suicide, most of the time, as the statistics says, it was proven that people who had committed suicide did not do it after a lot of planning. Most of the time it was observed, as per statistics, that someone had this impulse of killing themselves and they killed. So we cannot really predict suicide. A person who has self-harming tendency may attempt suicide. A person who's having a otherwise perfect life can also commit suicide if they are under such stress or pressure. Maybe in an impulse they may also try. So we can't predict suicide, but we can definitely prevent it based on a particular person's stress level, their tendencies to harm themselves, their tendencies to their thought patterns, where especially they have a history of committing suicide or harming themselves. So that way we can be precautious, but it is very, very difficult to predict if a person would be suicidal or not.
Why do people attempt suicide?
Well, as I have already mentioned, suicide is committed especially under huge stress. So one of the precipitating factors for committing suicide is a lot of stress which is not being well managed by the person. So it can be possible, if we go through proper diagnosis for mental health, there are some disorders that is associated with suicidal ideation, like depression, like bipolar disorder. But then again, there is also instances where a person was not having any mental disorder, but maybe under huge stress, and they felt like not living. So it is actually a very dynamic topic, where we can't really say which person can commit suicide tomorrow. It is very unpredictable. But at the same time, there are some patterns which can make a person understand that okay, this might be leading to where a person may need help for getting trained, getting some insights about how to help themselves during stress moments or how to cope better. So what we can do, we can teach our children, our teenagers, others better coping strategies, so that they don't indulge into negative coping, because most of the time sometimes it also happens that a person tries to harm themselves, but it ends up to a severe harm and they die. So in those cases, basically their objective was not to kill themselves, but basically to cut themselves so that they can cope, but it led to something severe. So teaching children, teaching teenagers and others, our adults, positive coping strategies is one of the need of the hour, which can really help them cope with the stress, overwhelming stress when they are facing the same. So there is no definite reason for suicide, but yes, stress is one of the biggest factors. Huge amount of stress can actually bring this impulse where a person may also think of killing themselves.
How has COVID affected human mental health?
So COVID has actually played a very, very, very crucial role in affecting everyone's mental health. Like if we run a survey today and we ask the whole world, I think 99% of the population would say that yes, during the COVID period, during the lockdown, they have been through some or the other kind of mental breakdown. We all have, we can't deny. Some of us were stressed, anxious, many of us had panic attacks, many of us had, feeling of worthlessness because of many factors associated. First, the disease, the disease itself, COVID, due to which many people had this fear of dying, fear of losing their loved one. So there was stress related to losing someone, anxiety related to loss of someone. People who lost others, they had grief for losing a family member or losing a friend. There were many of us who were living alone in a city, away from their parents, away from their family for work purpose. During lockdown, they were basically alone, they were lonely. So otherwise, when in a normal scenario, you can go out, you can mingle with your friends, your colleagues, you are going to work every day. When you were confined in your home alone, many of people felt really very lonely because of the lack of human contact. Some were still running Netflix marathon, some were still constantly talking with their colleagues, their friends, but everything came to a stagnation, everything came to a limit, because after certain time everybody were somehow hopeless that nothing is going to get better. At the end of the first wave, again some people were hopeful that okay, now it's ended. Again the second wave came, and things were, our beliefs, our hopes were crashed. So yes, COVID did affect a lot of our mental health. A lot of us really suffered for COVID, mentally, physically, emotionally, from all aspects. But yes, if we try to see the positive side of it, COVID also brought resilience for us. So there is a very famous proverb, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think the similar happened. Because of COVID, because of how things affected us, we also learned living under extreme conditions, living without others, living alone and supporting ourselves. So it also taught us many positive skills. Like many of us learned something new during COVID. Many of us started pursuing different things. For example, if we say online therapy or online consultation for doctors and therapists, psychologists, this was not very normal before COVID, but due to COVID we have started using the online platform so much, so it has brought many new prospects also. So yes, I think that answers your question.
What are the habits that can avoid suicide?
See, as I said, that suicide itself is a very unpredictable phenomena. Like none of us, literally none of us can bet that there won't be any suicide. Even a person if you go to a psychiatry ward, no one, we can't take a guarantee of that something will not happen, because as I said, in case of statistics, it is proven that many people who commit suicide have even never thought about it in their whole life. They just did it out of an impulse. So yes, we can't sort of say or emphasize on this fact that okay, this person will not have commit suicide ever. But at the same time, we can practice few things, few positive coping skills which can help us prevent suicide. So number one, many of us really struggle with accepting the way we feel. I personally feel that half of our problems would end if we would just accept the way we feel. Many a times we are not even allowed to express or accept the way we feel. So being in touch with your inner self. If some days you are feeling gloomy, it's okay. There are gloomy days. If some days you're feeling anxious, acknowledging that yes, I am feeling anxious. So accepting the way we are and the way we feel is the first step of being in touch with your inner self. So that's very important, and constantly introspecting our behavior, our thoughts are also another way of getting in touch with yourself. Next, practicing some mindfulness activities or something that really calms you down. Mindfulness is something that is, as per recent research, is one of the ways we can really feel calm. So practicing mindfulness or meditation or yoga can really help us feel grounded whenever we are feeling stressed or whenever we are feeling out of the box. So it's not that, many people have this notion that when I am stressed, how can I meditate? No, we are not only talking about when you are stressed, but if we put it into our daily practice of, doing at least 10 minutes of yoga or 10 minutes of mindfulness, it can make us feel grounded on a habitual basis, especially people who have high anxiety, who are anxious in general. Practicing meditation or mindfulness or yoga every day can really help them feel grounded. So third is getting in touch with your friends, family, being in connection with others. So if you see that you are going through some difficult feelings, being in touch with you don't always need to go and consult a professional straight. You can talk to people who you trust, you can talk to your family, see what's their take on it. And of course, if needed, that you are not being able to manage your own stress level and things are going above your level, above your head, then you can definitely go and consult a professional. It's always good to go and seek help. We need to seek help because all our lives are important and it's precious. Lastly, but not the least, looking after our basics like maintaining a proper sleep pattern, eating healthy food, because they really affect the way our body works. Not getting proper amount of sleep, not getting proper nutritious food can also tamper with our hormones and neurotransmitters in our brain, which will ultimately affect us to develop different symptoms. So sometimes without even any other external factors, due to internal factors, our bodily factors, we may get stressed and we can have different kinds of maybe anxiety or maybe some anxiety attack, what we are calling panic attack, or maybe we will have some sleep disturbances, which will lead to other problems. So maintaining our basics, and of course, like as an additional point, I can say that pursuing your passion, doing what you really love, maintaining a journal, maybe maintaining a gratitude journal can help. So these are things that remind us in gloomy days that our life is not so bad. And as I said just a while ago, that our life might be gloomy some days, but we have to remind ourselves that tomorrow is another day, and another day is another chance. Thank you.
Golden Bee Global, the Bee Hive of Learning.